say that, yeah. I'll keep an eye on him.
Good day. So we just got to keep an eye on the little one over there as we do this video. So since we started the channel, probably our most requested video is a tour of the land. So we're finally getting around to doing it now. And what better place to start than where we live? So this is what we call the shack. It's the tiny house that we built, and we sleep here. Here on the left we have our outdoor sitting area. I made this bench out of some cedar wood. It was a real impromptu thing. I just cut it with a chainsaw. Let's go take a look inside.
So basically we built this space because we didn't have like a nice safe place for our son to grow up in while we build the actual house, or like renovate the actual house. So this entire room is basically a playroom just designed for him. We have a floor bed here for him. If you don't know anything about floor beds, check it out. It allows him to kind of like just get up whenever he wants and just kind of play. It's also his day bed where we can read and cuddle. Yeah, so all his playthings and his coats are on the lower 3 shelves, so he can easily access them. We also have his nappy stuff, like the reusable cloth diapers that we use for him. They're all down here, which is not always good because he rips everything out, but we don't have any other space right now. We also make our own wet wipes, so all that is very accessible for when we need it. And yeah, this is really a kid's play space, and that's how it looks as well. It's not always clean.
So it might not look like much, but it took about 5 months to build. That was through the spring and summer last year. And we moved in July. And it's been a pretty nice place to live since then. It's been the perfect place just to sleep and spend time with the toddler during the day. And over winter it was quite warm compared to outside. It's insulated quite well. And I built that wood stove. Well, I didn't build it, but I built the shelf and everything and installed that wood stove before winter. And it kept us warm in the coldest time of the year, so that was nice. It's 12 square meters, fully off-grid. And we've got these shelves. You know, also one of the reasons to build this was for the books, because in the winter time the humidity in the house was just so high that all the pages in the books would swell up when they got damp, and then the whole book would just be warped. In here though, that was not a problem at all. Inside the walls it's a stud wall construction with a wooden cladding on the outside. Insulation in the middle, and a vapor barrier with plasterboard on the inside, and then it's painted. And yeah, we had these fans as well. So over winter we would light the fire and then turn the fans on to help circulate the air, open the windows every now and then to air out, so we kept the moisture levels like within an acceptable range, so there was no problem there. And we also built this, I built this bed here. That was the last thing I built before we moved in. And it's really high so that we could utilize the space underneath it to store all of our clothes and other things. Again, like anything that we didn't want to get damp, basically, we put under this bed. And yeah, even at the very back where there's almost no ventilation, everything stayed dry and there were no mold issues. And that way, using this bed here, we have this whole floor space for our son, and it's a great play space, really easy to clean because with the laminate it's really easy just to sweep off. And we tried to like add some personal touches as well, so it really turned into quite a nice home over the months that we've been living in here as well, kind of like our old apartment before we left Germany. So we've got these pictures on the wall, remind us of all the different places we've been and adventures we've had. And we've got this desk here that was kind of meant to be like a practical space, but it mostly ends up just being cluttered with stuff. We try to keep it clean when we can though. Six months later, and we're working on the video again. So the next step in the tour is the outdoor shower. This is our summer shower, and it just runs from the mains, cold water, which is exactly what we need when it's hot here. And it's very refreshing and enjoyable. When the water hits the floor, it drains through some aggregate and then filters or seeps through this small flower bed. Right now we just planted a passion fruit there, so in the next years that should grow up and be the next obscuring barrier after the reed mat rots away. So we want to grow more fruit trees and things around here, but anything that isn't inside our main fenced garden has to be individually fenced to protect it from the sheep. So here we've got a fig tree, which is blocked off, and over there we've got strawberries and onions. Yeah. And behind you we've got an olive tree that was cut down to stump before we arrived here. And over there we've got our worm compost system.
The worms are a bit more of a recent addition to our farm. We only started, I think in spring. I can't actually quite remember.
In March maybe?
Yeah, I think in March we started like worm farming to just to build even more soil and like use the worm juice, the worm juices. I don't know how to call that actually.
They're our most successful livestock.
Yeah, actually, yeah. They're the most successful livestock that we keep on our farm because so far they haven't died. Jokes on us. We recently upgraded them from just a tiny bin for food scraps that lives in our compost toilet area to this bathtub here. So this is an old bathtub. We have a crazy amount of manure coming out of the sheep pen every single week, and we kind of wanted to see if we can speed the decomposition process up a bit by adding worms to it. So we have this secondhand bathtub that we bought, and it's full with manure, cardboard, some cabbage leaves I think I put in there as well. And this has been here for about a month now, and the worms are doing quite good, quite prolific in here again as well. We still have the small composter just for kitchen scraps, and this is like kind of exclusively for the manure. And the water that comes out of it, that gets produced by the worms as they work through all the organic material, runs directly into our fledgling raspberry bed that is just below the bathtub there. And we will improve the system. It's still kind of like in its beginning stages as we have the time to improve it. Yeah, and ultimately this is just a test. We keep the bins, the kitchen scrap bins separate right now, just in case something happens in here. We don't want to kill off all of our worms, but ultimately we want to have this huge composting operation going on where all the kitchen scraps kind of go in here as well, and we get this incredibly rich humus out of it that we can then use in our garden as a fertilizer. And now let's actually go to the garden and show you that for a moment. Lucky. Okay, and this is our little fenced garden. We won't go into the garden now because I made multiple videos about it already. I don't think it's very interesting to talk about it again in this video. But basically, just to give a bit of a quick overview, this used to be just grass and bramble and full of bracken as well. And last year we had our pigs in here that completely turned it over twice. And then we fenced the entire area, put this beautiful garden gate here, and it's been our summer garden. It's been very successful this year. We have a bit of a no-dig method going on there. But yeah, through the rains now, it's really overgrown. So it does need quite a lot of TLC, which it will get in the coming weeks again. And right next to it, we have a dry garden that in summer I only water like once or twice a month. And it's only the kind of like drought resistant plants in here, lavender, cacti, like succulents, native species mainly. And I really want to expand on it in the coming years, add more lavender. I really love lavender, and make it like a pollinator attracting feature as well, that we just don't need to water in any shape or form during the dry season. And another feature close to the garden is our big compost pile as well. So we have multiple compost operations, and the compost pile is just like the normal, like a normal compost pile. Yeah, it's just a cold composting system, nothing special. We worked on it with the help of some volunteers. I want to add another bin, so we have a 2-bin system ultimately, but everything here takes a lot of time to reach its final stage, really. So yeah, right now we're just working with 1 bin and it's going really well. This behind me is our prototype swale that we built last year, and we have a video about it up here, linked up here. Basically, we want to put in a few more swales. We don't think they're like a magical solution to water issues or something like that, but it does help us on the light slopes that we have here to keep soil in place. We did have problems with soil runoff in past rains, so this is one of the solutions that we have found seems to be working. We planted a bunch of blueberries on top, and there will be more blueberries as we extend the swale and finish the rest of them. And also behind that is our fireplace that we can only use pretty much twice a year when it's either not raining or not burning. So doesn't get as much use as it should, but it's very nice to have. I guess we move on to the greenhouse.
This is our outhouse. Really basic, simple structure, but it does the job just fine. I cut some eucalyptus in the spring, just made 4 posts in the ground in some concrete, and then clad it with pine boards, and it's got some corrugated tin roof and this old door that doesn't fit, but it's a private space that keeps dry when it's raining. So that's a lot more than we had before. Before we just used to have a bucket down in the woods.
Outdoor experience.
On the inside we've got a composting system. It's the same bucket as we used to have, which is essentially a bucket with a toilet seat for a lid, and we throw some wood chips or sawdust in there after use, and then we empty it into a composting location that we have in the forest. It's all boarded up on the sides, and that just stays there and slowly breaks down and composts over the years. In the future, we want to build a new outhouse with a 2-chamber system. So you fill 1 chamber up with a toilet seat on top. When that's full, you move the toilet seat to the next box and then fill that one up. And then by the time that one's full, chamber A will be fully decomposted, and you just open it up at the back and remove lush, fertile soil and barrow it away. When that happens, this will be a tool shed. And we want to build a bigger shed extension in this area to store more tools and outdoor objects. On this side we've got our greenhouse, which we assembled in October of 2022. It's not the best greenhouse. You see it's got some of the straps broke off, but it's functioned and hasn't let us down since then.
Actually, there's loads of crack in
Yeah. It's dual purpose right now. It's about half of it is for storage. We've got a portion for tree saplings. We've got some mulberries, some nettle trees, fig trees. Oh, they're doing well. We've got ginger. And then the other half is salads, brassicas, and we still have one leftover tomato. And we also store hay and straw for the sheep in here. And yeah, in the spring we do pretty much all our seeding in here as well. I'd like to get a second greenhouse in the future for seeding, especially seeding cereal crops, but we're not really there yet, and there's still plenty of space in here for now. So I think it must have been October or November last year when we did a video, and we claimed we were about to build this wall and completely renovate this part of the house. Well, as you can see, that was delayed by 1 year. It's just the way it is here. There's so much to do and everything just takes a ludicrous amount of time. But we have made progress in recent months, and I recently got this window installed into the wall. I connected the original wall with the structural pillar in the corner and built another wall without a window around the corner. And yeah, the next stage is to just finish off the block work up at the top, build a shuttering and pour concrete beneath the roof, and then seal it up with the ceiling, and then just render the outside, make skirting for the windows, and this will be done. Externally will be done. The internal job is a huge job, and we'll finish that next year basically. So yeah, we're making intermittent progress on the house. It's just a bit challenging juggling the work on the farm, Jackie's job, and raising the child with building, but it's all happening at a manageable pace, but maybe not a reasonable pace.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite project that I did this year with our volunteers. We never really had a nice flat space to sit on outside, and this is a huge improvement. It's a patio that I laid and plan on expanding just around the house. Like, we kind of in the future want to have the immediate surroundings of the house all sealed up, because it is a fireproofing measure as well, to like not have any burnable material close up to your house. For now, we just have this little square that is also not entirely finished because my job came in the way, you know. This is going to be a patio surrounded by some garden beds where I will keep some like lavender, passion fruit. We did plant some kiwis here. Unfortunately, they were all killed by pests this year. So we put the passion fruit in now in the hopes that they will make it. That will make like a flowering arch just above the space to provide some shade in the summer. And yeah, the garden beds will be exclusively watered by the grey water coming from our dishwasher probably. It's going to be a bit of a grey water filtering system as well. Not entirely planned out yet, but will be set in place at some point in the near future. Until then, we just have a nice laundry drying space in winter where we can also host some people from time to time. And I'm so glad I got this done, and I learned so much on it that I can now continue. We used scrap marble that I got from the local gravestone maker for €6 for about 12 square meters. So I think I'm going to get some more, and then at some point get working on the next part of it, the next step up. But yeah, who knows when that's going to happen. There's like so many other projects that are equally important.
The rest of our land is about 2 hectares of woodland, where we're also working to cut down our firewood supply for the coming years, which actually brings me to our most important setup, the combination of our water and firewood storage that you can see here. During the summer, we pump about 1,000 litres of water a day for our garden up the hill from the spring, which is 30 metres below in the valley. Now, during rainy season, we simply pump water from our rain barrel into the storage tanks as needed. In total, we have space for 3,000 litres of water and about 4 cubic metres of wood. We're constantly improving the setup as well, such as investing into better roofing, shading the IBC tanks from the sun, and buying heavy-duty tarps, so we don't have to rely on the cheap plastic that doesn't hold up in the intense UV exposure during the summer. Most of our life happens up here in the areas that we've shown you now, and obviously in our house that we haven't quite shown because it's a continual work in progress and basically a building site. It's quite a lot of space, and it's everything we need to live a good life here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.